Alright, today we are working on a 2003 F250 6.0 that has a pretty significant oil leak, probably major would be the word, major oil leak. I'm not sure exactly how much oil it dumped out in about 30 seconds, but a lot, enough that no oil on the dipstick that I can really see, and I'm guessing 5 quarts probably, that it dumped out pretty quick. And just from a visual inspection, it's pretty hard to see where it's coming from. Well, I'll show you kind of the steps that I'm going through. So let's get started. All right, so this is where you can see that when I came to a stop to back into my driveway, that something released, and all of a sudden I had a trail of oil. So you can see that it, as I backed up, that it just kept pouring out quite a bit, which I'm really happy that didn't happen until I got home, because then I think I would have had a major issue. I parked, I just had a huge puddle of oil, which this is kitty litter that's gotten wet and dried and whatever, so it looks terrible now, but had a huge puddle there. So when I got under here, I just had oil everywhere, and it was dripping off, like off from this deal, off from the oil pan. It was all the way back, all the way down my exhaust system. It just everywhere was covered in oil, which I had, like some of this stuff, like this was pretty oily just to begin with, just because this is an older truck. I've had oil leaks in the past, not cleaned like the bottom super good, but it was even worse than it is now. I took out my fender, I looked in here. Obviously I do have some oil along there, but I really don't think that was the issue. I think that's just from previous things and repairs that just didn't get cleaned that well. Like I said, it's an old truck. My main concern was the valve cover, because I did just do some work on. I did the injectors recently, so I was wondering if my valve cover didn't get tightened down, but the amount of oil just seemed like it couldn't be from a valve cover. But I got under here and I saw that oil was dripping onto the starter from above, but there was nothing here. And when I looked from the top of the engine, I also really didn't see a lot of oil, maybe some in the valley. So mainly the oil was dripping on the passenger side. So I was kind of focusing over here. I did look here, there's nothing, like checked this, nothing's really an obvious thing. There's, some old oil that might be there. I do see that the front cover, like right in there, is a little wet, but when I started it up and was kind of looking for where it was coming from, none of those things were really gushing oil at the amount that it would have had to in order to have that much oil on the ground. And I was thinking that it's coming, I think that there's oil down here in the valley, but it's really hard to see, to be honest. But my bet is the turbo drain right here. That seems to be the only place that it could be gushing that much oil. And obviously the top here is not oil covered, so I'm thinking it's the bottom where it goes into the H-pop. I checked the IPR, and this is a 2003, so the ICP is also at the back behind this turbo. I reached my hand back there. I got blessed with skinny small hands. It's pretty easy for me to reach back there, and everything back there is dry. So I'm thinking it's gotta be right here with the turbo. So after looking through all that, I'm gonna take the turbo out. I actually have to replace my ICP sensor, so this is gonna be fairly convenient to do that at the same time. So hopefully we can track down this oil leak. Well, it's hard to see in that video, but I didn't see any oil coming out of the turbo drain. And I was researching on some of the forums and trying to find other places that oil might dump out really quickly like that. And one of them suggested the oil switch sensor that is right behind the oil filter housing. And so I'm gonna go check that out. All right, so we're definitely leaking here at the oil pressure sensor. Sorry, I'm trying to get my hands in here. That sensor right there, right behind your oil filter. It's coming right out the top here, it looks like. I'm guessing that this, yeah, it's pulling right out. Guessing that broke off and is just not sealing anymore, obviously. Okay, so I got all these things unplugged. This is unplugs at the turbo here, and then this one is that sensor right there, so that we can get a little more space to switch out this guy. All right, to take this out, I have a 27 metric here, deep socket. I just had to kind of loop it around this, so I put the socket on and then put this extension on, because I had to put it in from this side, and it wasn't that hard to break off, and just twist it out. All right, I apologize for the noise, neighbor's doing something, but I got my new part. It's from Amazon, it says it's Motorcraft. I don't know if it's genuine, but I'll link it in the description. I also got a new plug. This is the cheapest one I found on Amazon for 10 bucks. I don't know if how long it's gonna last. I'll link this one, and I'll also link a Motorcraft one. I try to find the torque specs for this. The only thing I could find was a forum, and it said 9 foot-pounds, which sounds about right to me. I feel like that's just, you know, good and snug to get this O-ring to seal. Don't forget to throw a little clean oil on your O-ring. Doesn't feel threaded very good. Moving on to the electrical part of the repair, we got our new part. We're gonna need some wire stripper plier things. I grabbed this just because it's gonna be easier to crush this pink thing with this for me, just because I'm not as strong. And then we need a heat source. I got a heat gun to melt our piece after we connect everything. First things first, I'm gonna cut down this just so I have a little more wire to work with, and then we're gonna cut this off. All right, so I cut a little bit of the excess wire off this, and then I unsheathed the end here. This says 18 gauge wire, so you're gonna put it at the 18 mark there, and cut the sheath, and then pull that off to expose the wire there. We're gonna do the same thing on this wire. Then you're gonna put each of the wires halfway and then crush this right in the center to lock them in. Once we got a good crush there, then we're gonna use our heat gun and just heat it up enough to seal, like shrink down this pink part to the wires. Don't overheat it and burn your wire. All right. So there you can see, it's hard to focus on it, that it's sealed all the way around that wire. That's what you're looking for, that it should be touching the wire all the way around and not have gaps. But you don't want to over melt it, so just try to get it right to that point, and then you want to stop with your heat source. Also, if you're good at electrical stuff, you can also just solder these and put heat shrink over it or whatever. I'm not a super electrician or anything, but you can solder these if you prefer to do that instead of this connector piece. All right, I just taped up the end with some electrical tape here just to kind of protect the bare, like the wire a little bit that doesn't have this heat shield on it. It's not pretty. I didn't have black electrical tape, but really nothing about this truck is pretty, so I just want it to work. So I'm gonna connect everything back up, and hopefully we'll have no more oil leak and everything will be working as it should. Quick tip is to throw some dielectric grease in there just to keep everything a little more sealed. I always do that anytime I'm reconnecting electrical components. This is what I always use. I'll link it in the description. Seems to be working pretty good. All right, I got that repair complete and no more oil leaks. So hopefully if you've had this problem as well, that you can fix it yourself. And if my parts that I bought on Amazon ever fail, I will update the description so that those parts are not available. Like I won't link them anymore, so that you guys don't buy bad parts if they end up not working. But so far they're working. I've driven the truck a little bit and had no problems with the sensor anymore. So good luck, and as always, stay independent out there.